You ever have one of those days? You know the ones. You feel totally unproductive, and the first word that pops into your head is lazy. Well, today we're going to look at 6 signs that what you're feeling isn't some kind of character flaw. It might be something else entirely, something called burnout. So let's start here. Does this feel familiar? Suddenly, everything feels harder than it used to. I'm talking about work, simple chores, you name it. Or maybe it's this. Even the small stuff, the simple tasks feel totally overwhelming, right? Like they're just taking up way too much space in your head. And while all this is happening, what's that little voice in your head saying? Is it something like, ugh, I'm just being lazy? Well, you might be wrong. See, what so often looks like laziness is actually something totally different. It's burnout. And this is so important. If you get the label wrong, you're going to try to fix it the wrong way. Okay, so here's the deal. We're talking about a massive misconception here. There's this pattern that most of us just don't see. We have a real psychological response to stress, but we call it a character flaw. I mean, look at this. Burnout becomes laziness. Overthinking gets called intelligence. And people-pleasing? Oh, that's just kindness. But these are so often just flat-out wrong diagnoses. And that's what this whole series is about. Correcting these things. Because if you misdiagnose the problem, you're guaranteed to choose the wrong solution. So today, let's start with one of the biggest ones, burnout. And let's dive into why it gets misdiagnosed so darn often. You know, the thing about burnout is that it rarely looks dramatic. It's not always this big cinematic collapse. Sometimes it's just quietly procrastinating, staring at a laptop, feeling lost or kind of distant from everyone. And we see those quiet moments, and what do we think? I'm lazy. But the psychology here is so clear. Burnout is not a lack of effort. It's your nervous system trying to protect itself from being overloaded. It's a survival mechanism. When stress just goes on and on, your brain starts conserving energy. Not because you're weak, but because it's trying to keep you going. So what looks like laziness, it's often just your body pulling the emergency brake. So how can you tell the difference? Well, let's get into the 6 signs. This is where it all starts to click. Okay, sign number 1. It's this. Tasks just feel heavier than they should. Not impossible, just heavy. You know that feeling. You look at something simple like sending an email or cleaning your room, and your brain just sees a giant mountain. And there's a brain-based reason for this. Burnout actually messes with your prefrontal cortex. That's the part that handles planning and focus. When you're flooded with stress hormones for too long, that whole system just gets less efficient. So normal tasks suddenly feel exhausting. It's not the task that changed, it's your brain's energy. All right, on to sign number 2. And honestly, this one is a huge giveaway. Rest doesn't really restore you. Think about it. If you were just lazy, a good night's sleep or a day off would fix it, right? But with burnout, it's different. You can sleep, take a whole vacation even, and you come back and something's still not right. That's because burnout isn't just about being tired. It's systemic. Your whole nervous system has been stuck in on mode for way too long. So recovery isn't just about taking a break. It's about reducing the source of that overload. So many of us think we just need more discipline, but you can't discipline your way out of burnout. It responds to recovery, to regulation. Okay, let's talk about number 3. Your motivation just vanishes. Now, we like to think of motivation as this personality trait, right? You either have it or you don't. But it's not that simple. It's more like a compass that's guided by your brain chemistry, specifically your dopamine. And when your brain is under chronic stress, that whole dopamine system gets thrown out of whack. And what does that mean? It means the things that used to excite you, the things that felt meaningful, they just feel flat. It's not that you're choosing not to care, it's that your brain literally can't access its reward system in the same way. That's burnout. Which, of course, leads us right into sign number 4. You feel mentally foggy, you know? Brain fog. It's a classic burnout symptom. You're forgetting simple stuff. You have to reread the same sentence over and over. You can start a task, but finishing it feels impossible. And again, there's a reason for this. Stress literally shifts your brain's resources. It moves them away from higher-level thinking and toward basic survival. In other words, your brain is prioritizing protection, not productivity. Okay, next up, sign number 5. Small problems feel huge. As burnout gets worse, your ability to handle stress just shrinks. Little frustrations feel like massive disasters. Making a minor decision feels completely exhausting. And it's not because the problem is actually that big, it's because your system is already maxed out. This is what's called cognitive overload. Your brain's processing power is just full. So even the smallest new thing feels stressful. And here's the key thing to get. Burnout doesn't mean you're not trying. It means you've been trying too hard for too long without a real break. And this all leads to our final sign, number 6. Now, this one can be subtle, but it's so important. You start to withdraw from things you used to care about. Maybe it's your work, maybe it's your friends, maybe it's your own goals. You just pull back. And it's not because you stopped caring. It's because just engaging with things takes energy, and burnout has drained your battery. This is what psychologists call emotional exhaustion. It's a core piece of burnout. Your system is just desperately trying to conserve whatever little energy it has left. Okay, so this is why calling it laziness is actually dangerous. When you misdiagnose burnout as laziness, what do? You try the wrong fix. You push harder. You beat yourself up. You demand more discipline from yourself. But all that does is create this vicious feedback loop. You think it's laziness, so you push harder. That increases your stress. That drains your energy even more. And the burnout gets deeper. You're not recovering, you're just piling on more pressure and spinning your wheels. So what's the way out? What's the first step? It all starts with one simple change: getting the diagnosis right. You have to stop asking yourself this question: why am I so lazy? And start asking a completely different one. What has been exhausting my system? Because burnout doesn't just happen out of nowhere. It's the result of too much demand for too long without enough recovery. And once you can actually pinpoint those demands, that's when real recovery can begin. So here's the bottom line. If you've been calling yourself lazy, just pause. Just for a second. Look back at the last few months. The workload, the pressure, the constant on feeling. And ask yourself honestly, was I lazy or was I overloaded? Because it looks like laziness is so often just burnout. And really, truly understanding that difference, that is the first, most crucial step to actually recovering. And burnout is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle we're going to be exploring. In our next explainer, we're going to tackle why feeling constantly overwhelmed isn't weakness, it's overstimulation. So make sure you join us for that one. I'll see you then.